All right, hello to everyone again, everybody that joined us. Welcome to our monthly webinar. And we have a really interesting live webinar today. We're going to talk about the market. We're going to see some last forecast and some future forecast. We're going to talk about the Magnificent Seven, some interesting stock, so as Palantir, NVDA, Microsoft, and we see where the S&P 500 is going in the next month. What is direction? And we also going to talk about strategies, and we have a lot of surprises in this specific webinar. So you better stay tuned. And we're going to start in a minute. If you have any question, please send us through the Q&A option and not the chat, and through the Q&A that you have in the bottom of your screen. And we'll try to answer the majority of your questions by the end of this webinar. And of course, before we're going to start, a quick disclaimer that INO Daily Market Forecast does not provide any personal investment or financial advice to individuals or act as a personal, financial, legal, or institutional investment advisor or individually advocate to purchase or sell any security or investment or to use any of the particular financial strategy. All investing, stocks, forecasting, investing strategy, including the risk in this webinar, can be risk for loss of your sum of or all even your capital. Before pursuing any financial strategies discussed on this website, you should always consult a licensed financial advisor. And so we're going to start in 1 minute. I see that still people are joining us. So we're going to wait for everybody, and then we're going to start the webinar, the live webinar. In the meanwhile, you're free to write us in the Q&A which stock you think will outperform in this month, in June. So write us, and maybe we'll see the forecast for this specific stock at the end of this webinar. So tell us what you think, and we're going to show you what the algorithm thinks in the end. And so we're going to start in a minute.
Yeah, I see already questions. Please, I see people that are trying to speak. Please use the Q&A, mention your stocks, mention which stocks you have in your portfolio right now for the upcoming new month, and then we will be able to compare it with the most updated forecast of the AI algorithm. Okay, interesting tickers already. Some people are talking about NVDA, I see, and Palantir and Uber. Oh, interesting.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, right. Okay.
All right. So I think we can start. What do you think? We ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's go.
IBM, NVIDIA, Microsoft. Interesting names, interesting tickers in the chat. We will try to go over as many stocks as possible in today's webinar. So let's start. I'm going to start with a quick introduction, and then we are going to talk about the market and to jump directly into the live predictions that our AI algorithm is basically generating right now, today. I know first, we are an AI company. Our main solution is a predictive algorithm that generating daily forecasts for the financial markets and identifying the most promising investment opportunities on a daily basis. We are utilizing artificial intelligence, more specifically deep learning, artificial neural networks, and genetic algorithms to predict the financial market. Our AI predictive algorithm is generating daily forecasts for over 13,500 assets from different asset classes: equities, ETFs, commodities, currencies, interest rates, with daily forecasts for multiple timeframes, short-term, mid-term, and also long-term. This is a global solution. We are covering over 50 global stock exchanges, including the stock exchanges in the US, Canada, Europe, Asia, and also other interesting regions across the globe. And if we're jumping directly to the market and we are analyzing a forecast from last week, Ben, you want to talk about this prediction?
Yeah, this is a prediction actually from the quantum package that we have that, of course, focused on quantum stocks or stocks that are using quantum computing. And we can find that in 18th of May, QBTS was the stock that was in the head of this forecast, as we can find here. It has the strongest signal, which we're going to talk about later on and understand what is the signal and what's the predictability. But we see that the QBTS is the leading stocks in this specific forecast that was generated on 18th of May, actually exactly 1 year ago. Dave Quantum company, and we can see that it actually performed in 53% in that week. And we can see the bottom is two red stocks, Onto Innovation, ONTO, and MicroStrategy, MSTR, that have a negative prediction, a negative performance for this week. So the algorithm can actually identify long position and short position and give us the best opportunity for long and short in each and every forecast. This is an interesting forecast from 7 days ago for the quantum sector, which looks pretty hot in the last few days.
Yeah, before continuing, I would like to introduce Ben Rubin, the head of advisory team. My name is Yaron Golger. I'm the CEO and co-founder of I Know First, and we really hope that you will enjoy from the next 3 hours. No, I'm kidding, 1 hour and 20 minutes, something like that. Okay, let's continue. So the I Know First predictive algorithm was developed by Dr. Lipa Reutemann, one of the leading experts in the field of AI, machine learning, with over 20 years of experience. Dr. Reutemann received his PhD from the Weizmann Institute of Science, and is leading our unique R&D team that basically includes people with the background of data science, PhDs, AI and machine learning experts. We have math professor from Tel Aviv University, as well as employees with the background of math, statistics, physics. Ben Rubin is the head of our advisory team. Ben used to work for one of the leading banks in Israel as a financial advisor. My name is Yaron Golger. I'm the CEO and co-founder of I Know First. I'm also lecturing at one of the leading university in Weizmann University. I'm engineer with EMBA. So the I Know First predictive algorithm is being trusted by the world's leading hedge funds, investment houses, family offices, banks, as well as high net worth individuals and retail clients from all over the world that utilizing our predictive algorithm in order to identify opportunities on a daily basis with the power of AI, of course. Among this list, you can find leading banks, leading hedge funds, leading family offices, and also investment houses. With several investment houses that are in this list, we also have been built financial products that utilizing our technology. Currently, we have one product for institutional clients and additional products for retail clients that are already being listed in different stock exchanges around the globe. The solution that you're about to see has received several international awards, including from UBS, from the Geneva Wealth Tech Forum, and Entity Data in Japan. And you can see here different photos from those ceremonies and events. We are really proud to deliver a fintech course in the Weizmann University for the 3rd year already. And in the website, you can find also different articles and TV reports about the predictive algorithm, and also, of course, client reviews that can assist you to identify the package that is relevant for you. Yes, Ben.
Yeah, and of course, you can feel free to join our WhatsApp community that is growing bigger and bigger. We're getting interesting content on a daily basis with this WhatsApp group. Just scan the QR code that you can see on your screen, or you can add by the chat link that your own will add to the chat. And you can join our really interesting WhatsApp group. We are sending there a future forecast, past forecast, and even today, after this specific webinar, we're gonna add the Magnificent Seven forecast for the next 2 weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks in the Mag 7. By the way, in the last webinar, we uploaded the Mag 7, the Magnificent 7 forecast, and NVIDIA was in the top of that list. And I think it made almost 20% this month. So it's worth being in that group, and you can get some free forecast and get some AI articles. So join the WhatsApp group for free. And another channel that you can subscribe to is our YouTube channel. We're getting almost daily videos comparing stocks, seeing forecasts, watching the market, overviews about the market. So it's also a really interesting channel that you can subscribe and follow. So please feel free to do so by scanning the QR code that is on your screen.
Okay. We are offering two main solutions for our clients. On one end, we are providing a daily forecast that can assist you to understand where the market is going, and on top of that, to identify opportunities on a daily basis. On the first part of the webinar, we are going to talk about and to share different predictions. Basically, this forecast is being generated on a daily basis. Every day, you are receiving a fresh prediction with the most updated opportunities, with the daily market forecast, the daily forecast for the S&P 500 or other indices. And on top of that, we have also developed several systematic trading strategies that are designed basically to build a portfolio and to create the ongoing monthly rebalancing. Those products are being used by leading institutionals, hedge funds, family offices, banks from all over the world that utilizing it in order to manage their portfolio on a systematic way by relying on the AI, basically. The I know first predictive algorithm includes three components. We are going to talk and to discuss the different components that the I know first predictive algorithm includes. The first component is assisting you to identify the most promising investment opportunities basically every day. The second component is providing you stock market intelligence, assisting you to identify the best sectors in the markets, to receive prediction for the main indices, to understand from which sector you should which sector you should avoid, and also on which regions you should focus and which regions you should avoid. And the third component is providing you custom AI-powered forecast, basically based on each client portfolio. The algorithm is learning what each user actually is has in his portfolio, and he is receiving custom forecast that being tailor-made for his portfolio, for his specific portfolio on a daily basis. And basically, by combining those three components, it's possible to create, on one end, to identify opportunities, and also to create ongoing, basically rebalance in each client's portfolio. So how do we do it? Every day, our predictive algorithm is collecting quantitative data, a very large data sets that coming from the entire financial market, from the interest rate environment, from the different equity market that we are following, from the currency market, from the commodities market. We are combining all this daily data, and we are adding this data into our historical database that we are managing. And from that point, the AI algorithm is basically building the complex network that exists in the financial market. There are thousands of correlation sets in the financial markets, and the AI algorithm is being able to build this complex network on a daily basis without any human intervention. And you are receiving the bottom line, basically daily forecast with the best opportunities for the different time frames that you see on the right, short term, mid term, and also long term. Of course, the algorithm is learning on a daily basis from each forecast, learning from each successful forecast and also from each failure. And this is part of the input that the AI algorithm is using on a daily basis. In terms of the technology, we are combining different AI approaches into one predictive algorithm. We are utilizing deep learning, artificial neural networks, genetic algorithms, supervised and reinforcement learning. And the main goal of this entire process is to focus on the most predictable assets from each stock market and to filter out the less predictable assets. So if we are taking, for instance, the 500 stocks that are in the S&P 500 index on a daily basis, the algorithm is able to separate and to focus on the most predictable S&P 500 stocks and to filter out the less predictable stocks. And this is the basic process that we are conducting on a daily basis. So if we're taking the entire US market, we are applying our technology in order to focus on the most predictable stocks. And then we are ranking the stocks based on the signal filter. We are going to talk about that in the next slide, in order to identify the most updated, the best opportunities for the different timeframes. And basically, this process is being done on a daily basis, and you are receiving every day the best opportunities, the bottom line out of this interesting process.
Okay, so let's realize how the forecast actually looks like, and we can see here in the example how the forecast looks like. This is a 1 month forecast. Again, as Yaron said, on a daily basis, you get the 6 time frames, and each and every time frame has the best 10 stocks too long and the best 10 stocks too short, if there are any stocks too short. In this case, we can see that there's only 4 stocks to sell or short. And we can see that in this forecast, we have green cells and red cells. The green cells represent long position, while the red ones represent the short or sell. In each and every cell, we have 3 indicators. The first one, of course, is the symbol NVDA, as we all know, is in the top of each and every square. The first indicator is actually the signal. The one is the number that is in the center of the square, and it actually represents the predicted movement of the specific asset. It actually helps us to rank the entire investment universe from the asset that's supposed to move up in the strongest way. As we can see here in this example, NVIDIA, it has the highest value of signal. It means that the algorithm predicts that this specific asset will potentially move higher than all the stocks, than all the other assets. And the second indicator is the predictability indicator that is located in the bottom left of each and every square, as we can see here, for 0.46. And the predictability is actually representing how good the algorithm can read or forecast this specific asset. It's in Pearson correlation measurements, it moves from -1 to 1, while 0 represents 50% probability that the asset will move to the predicted direction. So in both of these cases, we will look for higher values, highest values. But again, as Yaron said earlier, we are giving more weight and more attention to the predictability filter. And we think the predictability is a little bit more important than the signal that is located again in the center of each and every square. So that, as I said, we are ranking the entire investment universe by the signal, as we have the highest value to the top left corner of the forecast, and it goes down to the right until we can see the strongest signal in the bottom. In this case, it's wolf, that we see a really negative forecast about this specific stock. And that's how we know how to look at the forecast and how to focus on the best stock. We will look for high predictability values and high signal values and focus on the best stocks out of each and every forecast that we get on a daily basis. So how the total forecast looks like, as we can see here, we have 6 time frames, and in each and every time frame, we have the best 10 stocks that the algorithm suggests us to hold or buy for the period of the time that we see, the time frame that we see in the top of each and every forecast. For example, if we are willing to invest for a 1 month period, we'll check the 1 month forecast and see that we have the best 10 stocks. Out of those stocks, we will look for the highest predictability values, as we can find here is VCL, for example, and is SKYW in this case. And then we look for highest signal. In this case, we can see VCL has one of the highest signals in the top 5. So that can be an actually potential good stocks to invest in. So that's what we do in each and every time frame that we want to invest in. And of course, if we're seeing stocks that repeating in multiple time frames, that's actually even better. That says that the algorithm believes in this specific stock in multiple time frames. It helps us and gives us confidence to invest in that specific stock. So let's see some examples from different packages that we have that actually occurred in the last month, in the last even few weeks. As mentioned earlier, we can see in this case the quantum package. This specific package is focusing on quantum stocks or stocks that have related to the quantum sector. And we can see that this forecast is for 3 days time frame. We can see the best 10 stock that the algorithm actually suggests us to buy and hold for these 3 days since the 9th of May. And we can see the result and the performance of those stocks here to the right. For example, MSHP that we can see right here has moved 24% in those 3 days. MKSI, it's MKS Instrument, actually a semiconductor company that moved 17%. And we can see the performance of each and every stocks. AMD, we all know, of course, an advanced micro strategy and NVDA and the MU that we can see here as well. So all those stocks performed the performance that we see here to the right. In the bottom of this forecast, we can see the average of this package of those 10 stocks, and we can compare it to the S&P 500 performance in those 3 days. So that's just one example for the short time frames of 3 days from the quantum stock package. We have another really interesting package that I think that is really relevant for this time is the Buzz package. The Buzz package is actually generating all the stocks that we are talking about in the digital media or the social media on a daily basis. The most mentioned stocks that we know or hear in the news and digital media or any other social medias, and we can see that a lot of those stocks are really, really popular, such as Apple, NVDA, Tesla, and we can see the entire list here. The Intel, Pfizer, for example, the Ford, Morgan Stanley, Moderna, Adobe, and many, many other stocks that we heard a lot about them in social media or the digital media. And if we can see some example of those stocks, we can see here, for example, the 7 days uh, time frame that was sent to our clients on 18th of April 2025. And in this specific package, by the way, we also added the Bitcoin and the Ethereum forecast as well. And we can see that the Bitcoin was here in the top of the forecast and actually moved 11% in this 7 days time frame. We can also accordingly find MSTR, MicroStrategy, also with a 16% movement. Palantir that we're going to talk about in this webinar moved more than 20%. NVIDIA, Kavarna, CDNA, Uber, and a lot of other stocks that the algorithm actually suggested to buy in this specific package, the BAS package. And the first stock here, STELH, that we can see in the top of this forecast, actually didn't move to the right direction. We can see the small X here. So 9 out of the 10 stocks that the algorithm actually suggested went to the right direction. And we can see that the average performance of this specific stock in 1 week was 10.7%, while the S&P did 4.5%. I think it's a really impressive average.
Yeah, we see that the 80% out of the stocks have basically beat the benchmark over this time frame.
Yeah, except one stock, except Uber, we can see that the majority of the stocks that was chosen in that forecast actually outperformed the S&P and almost doubled actually the S&P in a period of 1 week. And that's our main goal in Iron First. We want to, of course, outperform the market and give you the best result from the stocks that the algorithm suggests to buy for different time frames. And so the Buzz package, really interesting package. I really like it, and I think it's really relevant this time. And we can also see a 14 days time forecast that actually started on 24th of April and ended on the 8th of May. So we can see the stocks that the algorithm chooses here. We can see again Palantir, we can see NVIDIA, Netflix, the Bitcoin got into the head of the table. We can see coin and many other stocks. And this specific package made 11%, while the S&P did 5.36 in a 2-week time period. And another really interesting package that we have is the ETF package. If you are looking for other assets than stock, you can find the ETF package really interesting. And I think specifically in 2025, when we had some volatility in the market, and we saw that the algorithm actually suggests us to bring the focus into the European investment universe, as we can see here in the ETF. Many of the ETFs that was suggested here, as we can find, EWP, for example, is Spain. EWL is Switzerland, FPS is the Eurostock 50, EWG is Germany, and we can see a lot of stocks. EWI is Italy, and we can see that a lot of the ETF was pointing Europe and not the US market, and that actually happened in March in this year. And while the S&P went down, as we can see here, the average performance of this package was 2.45, and that was really interesting during this year. We used this specific package a lot with our institutional clients, and we can also find, of course, some American ETFs that from the 12th of May actually returned to the top of the forecast. We can find here the semiconductors, XSD, equal weight, which outperformed the market with 10%. We can find the transportation sector, the technology sector, XLK, Taiwan, EWT, and a lot of other geographical universe or ETF that can help us to verify that diverse our portfolio and give us a lot of options to invest in if it's from the US market or other places around the globe. So the ETF package, I find it really, really interesting and helpful and give us a big diversification in our portfolios on the different time frames. You can see, by the way, the performance of those ETF during 2025. If you would stock in the S&P market or the American market, you would see what was the outperformance of those European ETF that of course are traded in the US market, but actually performed really good in this time frame from the beginning of the year up until the end of the beginning of April that we see in this specific slide. Another really interesting and really popular package that we have is the AI package. We saw a lot of investments going to the AI, and we ourselves are using AI, of course, to find and locate the best opportunities in the market. And this package is actually focusing on stocks that are using or are working in the AI field, as we can see here. For example, we have the STNE that we see it with the strongest signal and pretty good predictability in this 14 days forecast. STNE, it's Stone CO, it's actually Brazilian fintech that actually looks pretty good this year. One of the best performance in 2025, actually. We can also find Netflix, Palantir that we mentioned earlier, INTU, and MELI, which is Mercado Libre. MELI is a leading e-commerce and fintech platform. And a lot of interesting companies that we can find that actually using AI. And this forecast, actually, the average of this forecast of those stocks made 10% in 2 weeks time frame, while the S&P did 5%.
Nice accent, by the way, Ben.
Thank you. And the next package that I think is the most popular package in our website, it's the top 10. And the top 10 actually focus on stocks from the entire US market. So if you don't want to focus on a different or specific investment universe, you can choose the top 10, and the algorithm scans stocks that are that the market cap is bigger than $2 billion, and we can find stocks such as Camtech, Hood, that actually moved more than 27% in these 14 days. That's actually from last month, from 29th of April. We can see Hood with a really good signal and good predictability and really good performance. We can find stocks such as IESC that we see here that also have a really high predictability. I remind you, the predictability is the number that located on the bottom left corner of each and every square. IESC is actually an electrical company, and we can see Amat, we can see CVNA, we can see NXPI, a semiconductor company. COF is actually financial stock, financial company. And adding to those 10 stocks from the entire US market that the algorithm actually provide us on a daily basis, he also provide a forecast about the S&P 500 index itself. So we can know and understand the direction of the market. We can see where the market goes to. if it's a long or short, and know if we focus on the long position or the short position. So in this specific special package, just in the top package, the top 5, top 10, top 20, and top 40, we are adding the forecast for the S&P 500 universe index itself. And you can check this top 10 package, which I think is the most popular package in the website for 2025. And if we check the next interesting package for 1 month period, this is the under 10 package for those who like more small stocks, small cap stocks. We have the under 10 package. Of course, it's a more volatile universe, so you have to take that into consideration. As you can see, RGLS, the biopharma company that we can see here, actually moved more than 280% in 1 month after locating in the top of the forecast. RGLS actually made more than 200%. We can see ICAD again with the strongest signal also moved almost 20%, and many other small stocks that the algorithm is locating. And we can see that the average performance of this universe is 37% in 1 month, while the S&P went up by 10%. So it's a more volatile universe. I know there's a lot of people that like the small cap, the small stocks universe. So we also can provide this package to you guys. And another interesting package that we have that I think this year is more relevant is the utilities package. The utilities used to be like more of a defensive kind of sector, and we can see some stocks that are really trending in the last few days. If it's NRG, that actually this company produces electricity and energy all across the US. We can see CNP, PPL, and many other stocks that actually provided a positive average return while the S&P went down by 6%. This is a 3 month forecast, as you can see here, for February 10th. So this forecast, in average, actually produced an average performance, average return, while the S&P went down by 6%, which was pretty difficult to do so in the 2025 market. We saw how difficult this actually was to make returns in the first month of the year. And the utility package actually succeeded doing so. And the last package that we're going to see is the S&P 100 for more, large cap stock, people that like to trade on large stock. And we can find here stocks such as GM. We can see here Citigroup. We can find the MMM that's in the healthcare universe. We can see JP Morgan and the Bank of America. We can see the large companies in the US that actually belongs to the S&P 100. And again, in the 1 year time frame, we can find that the signal and the predictability are getting higher values. As long as we go up the time frames, we can see higher values for the signal and from the predictability. If I go back to the 3 month, we can see again high predictability and pretty high signals, and it's go higher and higher as I'm going up the time frames. So all of those packages that we saw right now is in our special webinar sales. You can get 2 packages for $299 per month. You have no commitment. You can cancel it anytime. Just for the next 24 hours, the first special webinar sale, we have 3 interesting webinar sales. This is the first one, and we're going to present the next 2 in a minute. But this one, you can combine any stocks any package that you want that we saw in this webinar. You can take the AI universe, combine it with the top 10. You can get the ETF, you can get the buzz, you can get the utilities, you can get the energy, you can choose a lot of packages and combine them into one sale that will cost you 299 per month, and you can cancel it after 1 month. You have no commitment. You can try it and see if you're enjoying our service, and I'm sure you will. So this is our first webinar sales for today. Yaron, you want to talk about
Yes.
short position?
So, let's talk about the other side of the market, the dark side of the market. Sometimes, as we experienced in 2025, the market may go to the negative territory. And we can see here how the predictive algorithm can assist you to manage the risk and basically to avoid those periods. Those periods could be really violent, but also they are short in time. And here we can see several examples from the previous years. We are going to see also examples from the previous months, basically. And it's one of the advantages of the top 20, top 10, and the top 5 packages is that they are not only presenting opportunities for long, they are also presenting daily S&P 500 forecast, and then it's possible also to take advantage of those negative movements and to take advantage of the stocks to short, basically. So here on the left side, we can see an example from 2023. Around this period, we had the period of March 9th, 2023, we had a negative S&P 500 forecast, and the stocks with the strongest signal actually came from the bottom of the heat map. And among the stocks, we can find here several stocks that are related to the banking industry in the US. We can find here, for instance, Silicon Valley Bank. We can find here First Republic Bank. And it's interesting to see that actually in this period, Silicon Valley Bank and eventually also First Republic Bank basically collapsed. And it was a very important signal that could assist clients that are exposed to the banking sector in the US to avoid and to manage this risk. In the very same way, we had this situation in 2020 on 25th of February, as we can see on the right side. We had a negative prediction for the S&P, and the strongest signals came from the bottom of this heat map, and we all remember what happened during the COVID crisis, while the market was basically acting in a normal way, but we started to see negative prediction for the market, and the market went down during this period. Yeah.
Again, and if you have a short memory, we can also remember what happened this year in 2025. I guess the majority of you remember what happened in February. And we are, as Yaron mentioned earlier, we are using our AI algorithm as a market intelligence tool. And it's actually helping our clients as well to understand the markets better. And by that, I mean that in 20th of February, if we can see the chart of this year, QQQ, the NASDAQ 100, we can see that we had a negative forecast for the next 3 days from the S&P, from the NASDAQ itself, from the Dow Jones. And we also saw the VXN, which is the NASDAQ Volatility Index, is leading the indices forecast and has the highest signal. And combining this information with the negative S&P, negative NASDAQ, and even negative long time period, as we can see here for the S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow Jones, we understood that something is happening in the market, and we need maybe to be more careful as we understand the few days after the market went down pretty roughly in the next following weeks. And another example was actually in April, the 2nd of April. We can see our indices forecast was almost totally green. We can find it the S&P 500, we can find the RSP, Nasdaq 100, as we can see here. We can see the Russell's indices, that the DAX, that everything was painted red, and the market actually went down the SPY by almost 14% in 1 week. We remember that the crazy April, and the market went up and down, up and down. But we saw that collapse market from the 2nd of April. Of course, it was sent to our clients before the trading day, and they knew and was kind of ready to get to understand what's happening in the market earlier than the others. So that's what we see in February and April. But that's for the short side. We also provide, of course, an opportunities. And I want to talk about the timing of the algorithm. As we can see here, Palantir stock, which made pretty incredible 2 years. We can see that actually in the 31 of October, which is around this date, the algorithm put a really positive forecast about Palantir and for the next 3 months. And we can see that in those 3 months, the stock actually went up by 88%, which is quite amazing. We have another forecast then later in April. Palantir as well, in the 16th of April, was located here. It has the highest predictability value of the 1 month forecast. And we can see from the 16th of April up until the 16th of May, Palantir made 21%. And that gave a lot of advantage to our clients that focused on Palantir. We can see many other stocks that made some significant move in this month. Another interesting stock was Uber, that the algorithm again located and put it on the top of the forecast for the 14 days time frame that was generated on the beginning of May. And we saw that Uber went up in those 2 weeks in 14.7%. So the timing, again, we can see it here. The stock went up a little bit, but then jumped in 14% in a period of, first of a 2 weeks period. And May was really interesting this year, actually, because we can see some examples that the algorithm gave us for long and short. For example, if we are talking about the sector industry, of course, we have the sector forecast, the Geeks level 2, Geeks level 1, and the ETF forecast that we can see here. The algorithm gave a really good positive prediction to the aerospace and defense sector, XAR, that we can see here, with high predictability, top of the forecast with the highest signal. And that specific sector jumped almost 10% this month. While in the other hand, the most predictable sector that was painted red was the biotech. And we can see that the biotech sector from the beginning of May actually moved down by 1%, even a little bit more than that, from the Geeks level 2 forecast. Another interesting forecast and package that we have is the semiconductors, the stocks that outperformed the market and made almost 20% that month in this month. And in the top of this forecast, this is the stocks forecast. Of course, I deleted the other stocks and left the queen of semiconductors. NVDA was leading this forecast with highest signal, almost the highest signal and highest predictability. If we are combining the predictability and the signal, the NVIDIA looks the best, and it actually made 18% this month, which looks quite amazing for May. And another interesting forecast that we gotta actually show in our WhatsApp group after this webinar is the Magnificent Seven forecast. We can find interesting forecast from the 27th of April for 1 month ahead. And in this case, NVIDIA was in the top of the table. Microsoft was also positive. The S&P was positive. But Apple, we can see it actually was in the red side of the map. Actually, the algorithm gave her a negative prediction. Of course, the signal is not that strong, but again, it was negative. And we can see that the returns from the 27 from April up until now, NVIDIA made almost 20%, Microsoft with 14%, the S&P moved almost 5%, while Apple went down by 7%. And this is a really a big advantage for you guys that can make long and short options that can buy and sell short in the same time and actually make money not just for the long side of the trade, but also for the short side of the trade. So this is a really interesting example. And the last example before we're going to talk about our institutional amazing package is the S&P 500 forecast and package that we have. One of the most popular packages as well that we have in our website. It's focusing on S&P 500 stocks only. So if you don't like small stocks, if you don't like the high volatility, this package can be for you, can fit for you. So in this specific package, from the 1st of May, we can see that in the 3 months time frame, which is still relevant for today, we find Palantir, we find Uber, and we find TT, Train Technologies, and we can see the results, TT with 21%, Uber with 12%, Palantir with 9%. Those are the three leading stocks in this specific forecast. And if we look at the bottom of this forecast, we can find MHK and MTCH, Match Group, and Mohawk Industry that went down against the market movement and against the trend. And we can see again that this specific forecast actually performed really well in the 1 month time frame and still goes forward ahead for the 3 months because this time frame is actually for 3 months. All right. So to whom of you that were with us in the last webinar, we talked about our institutional portfolio, our AI-powered actually institutional portfolio, in which every 4 weeks where the algorithm is actually go through all our packages and pick the best stocks to hold for the next 4 weeks. In this specific package, you don't have any time frames, you don't have any indicators, not predictability or signals. You're just getting the best 10 stocks to hold for the entire month. We are actually focusing and locating the best stocks and the best assets from all of our packages. It's a tool that we used to actually give to our institutional clients because we are using the artificial intelligence that we saw earlier globally, and we can know and focus which ETF and which stocks are the best to focus on, which sector is the leading sector in the following month. And we're actually analyzing these sectors and bring you the best stocks to focus on for this month. And all you have to do is just buy those 10 stocks in the rebalancing date and hold them for the entire month. And this rebalance date, by the way, is happening in 3 days from now, in the next Wednesday. But I want to show you first what happened in the last 2 rebalances. So this package was actually launched at the 2nd of April. And we can see that the average portfolio return was 3.44, while the S&P actually went down by 1.77. This 4 weeks that started on April 2nd, and the closing date was April 30. And we can see here which stocks the algorithm is actually focused on. We can see Palantir, we can see TTWO, we can find Uber, IDXS from the healthcare universe. We can see Microsoft and many others assets that we can find here. For example, ETF that is focusing on India that made 3.2% return. And I remind you, the S&P in this month was negative. It's finding stocks that moved 35% or 10% while the market went down. And that's, I think, really impressive. And the average of this portfolio was 3.44, while the S&P went down. We made an alpha of 5.2. You can buy those assets in an equal way in the closing price of the same day that we are sending you this portfolio. That was sent to our clients in the 2nd of April. If you bought in the closing prices, that's the return that you'll have in April. And I think that's pretty amazing.
Just to remind you, we are talking about the period when we saw basically the Liberation Day in the mind, the effect of the Liberation Day on the market. We saw the sharp decline in the S&P 500. And what's fascinating about the performance here is that the AI algorithm managed to not only to outperform the market, but also to provide significant performance over this period with very impressive hit ratio.
True, and you haven't seen the May portfolio that actually started right after it in the 30th of April. In 30th of April, that's the next rebalancing, the May rebalancing, and you see that those stocks were sent to our clients to hold for the entire month that ends in 28th of May, in 3 days from now. So we can find that the return of this portfolio made 6.45%, while the S&P went 4.4. It's 2% more than the S&P, and we can see the asset that the algorithm picked here. I think it's really interesting. We can find the Netflix, we can find APH, EPI, again, India, XAR that we saw earlier, the aerospace and defense that made 8%. We have ASML, we have OKTA that moved 10%, and many interesting sectors or ETF, for example, XLU that made 2.7%. And even we can see here, actually, it's interesting to see here the closing of Friday, the last trading day, while this portfolio made 0.17%, the S&P moved down by 0.68. So outperforming the market also in the last Friday. We have one more trading day for this portfolio, that is Tuesday, because Monday is a day off from the market. And so this amazing institutional package is now available to the private clients, and you can actually buy it and enjoy it, and each and every month get the best 10 assets. And if we are looking at the cumulative return from the beginning of April up until now, this portfolio made 9.89%, while the S&P made 2.3%. It's more than 7.5% more than the S&P, outperforming the S&P in less than 2 months. This is quite amazing. If you are outperforming the market by almost 400%, I think it's amazing. And in a volatile universe that we're living in, I think it's even more impressive. So this specific package is available in 2 days, in the 28th of May. You can join the next rebalance, so feel free to do so by 2 webinar sale that we suggest you. The first one is a 12-month subscription in which you get the institutional portfolio that we just saw, and you get to choose one package of your choice. It could be the top 10, it could be the AI, it could be the Buzz, and you can get this sale in $299 per month, paid every 12 months. and we can see this webinar sale is, I think it's one of the best sales that we had because the institutional package combine it with the another package that you can choose and daily trade or weekly trade. I think it's a really good combination. You will have one portfolio that the AI is managing for you. You just have to buy the stock and another package that you can trade it by yourself on a weekly trade, on 2 weeks, on even 3 months. You can choose your own time frames. I think this combination is ideal for trading the market. So this is the second webinar style, and another webinar style that we suggest for you today is a 12 month subscription in which you can choose one package out of three, and for $219 per month, you can get this one package for a period of 12 months. You can choose out of those three packages the top 10, the best ETF that we saw, and the S&P 500 stock. You can choose out of those three packages one package and get it for $290 per month instead of $270, which will cost you on a monthly basis. So this is our third webinar sale. We have a really good price for you guys for those three packages only. So you can choose again between this sale and of course the 1+1 that we offered you in the beginning. So let me make some to repeat those sales again. We have 1+1 in $299, in which you can choose any of any two packages that you want and combine them together with no commitment, and you can cancel it anytime. This is the first webinar sale that we got. The second one is the 12-month subscription that you can get the institutional portfolio and choose one of the packages in $299 per month. And the third webinar sale is the 12-month subscription for one package of your choice, if it's the top 10, the best ETF, or the S&P 500 stock. Yvonne, you want to add something?
Well, I think it's quite interesting to see the consistent performance of the institutional package. It's important to highlight that it is a long-only strategy that includes 10 stocks. Usually, the predictability level of those stocks is pretty high. And it's a buy and hold approach for 1 month. You are buying those 10 assets at the closing at the upcoming Wednesday in 3 days, as you said. And then you're holding those assets for 1 month period. And I do suggest to combine it with one of the packages that we showcase during this webinar, and to use it with a daily prediction. So on one hand, you have a 1 month portfolio, and on the other hand, to combine it with a daily forecast that the algorithm is generating on a daily basis. Now, based on the questions that I see here, whether we should take profit during this period, well, the risk management is being done by each client. Each client can decide when to take profit, when to add a stop loss to this package. But here you can see basically the performance, assuming that you're holding it for the entire period, basically.
Yes, so we have those three interesting webinar sales that are available for you for the next 24 hours only. And I'll remind you, the institutional package starts at 28th of May. So not enough time left to join this package. And let's talk about our choice. So we're gonna keep it till the end.
As the audience.
All right, Joe, you go first.
Okay, I do suggest for the upcoming month, I do think that the institutional portfolio is quite interesting. And I do suggest to combine it with the tech stock picks. What about you, Ben?
I think again the institutional portfolio is amazing and it works the best because is taking the best opportunities from each and every hour packages, and you don't have to do a lot. You just have to buy the stocks and hold them for 4 weeks. Of course, it's just the long only positions. We will not advise you to do short. And I think the BAS package could be interesting right now. We can see a lot of movement in the crypto universe. We'll see a lot of movement in the quantum universe, and a lot of the retail stocks are going up. So I think it's an interesting time for the BAS package that contain all of those stocks that I mentioned right now. So we won't tell you to buy the tech package. I'm telling you the buzz package. We'll see who wins next month. And for another issue that we have, the artificial intelligence trading strategy, as Yaron mentioned earlier, beside giving us decision support tool for our institutional clients, we are also developed strategic strategies. And we're going to go quickly just on one of the strategies to let you understand how it works and how the institutional clients use the AI that we generating. So to whom of you who don't know, the Geeks Level 1 and the Geeks Level 2 is actually the Geeks Level 1 is contain the 11 main sectors from the S&P 500 universe. The Geeks Level 2 is the 24 industries from the S&P 500 universe. And in those two levels, we actually generated a strategy, automatic strategy, that's taking in each month the best three sectors from the Geeks Level 1 industry, and the algorithm tells us which sector we should hold for this specific month, and we do it once a month. It's a long only strategy, and actually outperforming the market in the last 5 years with 141% return, while the S&P did 83%. Just by holding and being in the right sector in each and every month, we can see the performance of those sectors in 2020 up until 24, and we can see the cumulative return compared to the S&P 500 return. We can see that actually the algorithm beats the S&P in each and every year. And what interesting is actually here we can see the rebalancing date since the 2020, and we can find the 11 main sectors in the top of this table. And the sectors that are colored yellow are the ones that the algorithm actually choose in each rebalance. For example, if we are talking about March 2nd, as we can see in this line 2021, we can see that the algorithm focused on XLF, on XLE, the energy sector, and the XLI. And this actually gave the return of 9%, while the S&P went down by 0.11%, and we outperformed the market in almost 9% in this case, in this month, which is really interesting. And we can see, of course, each and every year which sectors the algorithm chose, what are the portfolio return, and which weight the algorithm actually gives to each and every sector. This specific strategy is really popular for an institutional clients that likes lower risk. You know, if you're buying a sector, you're buying almost 70, 50 stocks. You don't just focus on one stock. And if you are in the right sector, so you outperform the market, even in 0.5%, it's enough for the institutional client. So 60% is a big success. And we can also see, by the way, the last rebalance in this portfolio that occurred on April 30. The algorithm shows XLC, XLY, XLK, those three sectors in the beginning of May, as we can see here, the end of April. And we can see the performance of those sector. XLC moved almost 5%, XLY with 6.7, while the XLK with 8%. And we can see the weight that the algorithm gave to each and every sector, which is 25. If we compare to the S&P that moves 4.2 in that month, we can see that we outperform the market in almost 2%, which is pretty amazing again for institutional clients that buying those sectors in millions. 2% is a lot. It's a lot. So if any of you that listening to us today are institutional clients, please feel free to contact us by my mail or by the website, and we can find a strategy that fits to you guys.
Yeah,
All right.
we do have also strategies that combining the sectors with stocks, that going long and going short. Institutional clients, we do have additional interesting strategies. So feel free to talk with us in order to basically to custom and to offer you the right package that might fit to your needs. Yes, Ben, sorry.
Exactly. So we're gonna go through some of our, I think, most interesting packages that you know which package to choose from. We'll show you some quick examples of the latest packages performances. We can find here for the Robinhood package, the most popular stocks on the Robinhood platform. We can find the Palantir, ARK, as we can see here, RCL, Uber, Snap. A lot of those are in the Robinhood package. We have the tech package that Yaron is actually really like and advise you to be in the next month. And here we can find some really interesting stocks such as STNE that we talked about, KTOS, Netflix, UMC, Pay, INTU, ASML, Meli, and many others in the tech package that was really successful in the last month. If any of you are crypto lovers, we have the crypto package. We have actually 5 different crypto packages for you guys that combine the short term, long term, twice a day. We have a lot of crypto package, and this universe, of course, is pretty hot in the last few weeks, and those packages are available for you. And of course, those assets are more volatile than the majority of assets, so please deal with cautious. And this crypto package we can find for the 14 days actually performed 14%, while the S&P moved 0.4%. So that's interesting. And of course, you have the Ethereum and the Bitcoin itself forecast in those packages. We have the world indices package in which it help us to get the market intelligence that we talked about earlier. In this case, we can find the VXN, which is the Nasdaq volatility. We can find the 5 years interest rate. We can find the 30 years interest rate and many other main indices around the globe. Actually, 175 main indices that you get on a daily basis and can choose from. We have the commodities forecast that includes, of course, the coffee, the gold, the silver, and the oil forecast. Currencies, many currencies from around the globe, and many other stocks such as the energy package, which was really interesting in the last few weeks. Here we can find NRG again, all the nuclear and many others, many other companies that are working in energy or supplying energy, such as Solar Edge that we can find here, PFB, and many others. And the pharma package also we can find diverse companies that in the pharma universe again, that you can choose from. Utilities package that's getting really, really interesting right now. Again, we can find some nuclear company stocks, electricity, and many other utilities that you can find here. NEE, that was really interesting, and many, many other stocks. All right, and we also have some geographical packages. If you want to trade European stock, for example, you can find it also in our website. That's getting stocks from Germany, from Italy, from many others European stock exchanges. We have a Canadian forecast for the Canada Stock Exchange, Chinese stocks. It also looks pretty good from the beginning of the year. And of course, the Indian stock exchange, the Indian forecast, in which we have a big collaboration with Finvazia, one of the largest brokerage in India. And we are providing for 100,000 Indian investor a daily forecast for different time frames and different stock size from mid cap, large cap, and small cap. And this is a collaboration that we are really proud of. It's embedded in their platform, trading platform, as we can see here in the desktop, in the cellular phone. And this collaboration also taking place already, I think, 2 years now, and expanding as well. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the past and then a little bit about the future, what the algorithm thinks about the next month. But before that, in the last month, in the last webinar, we gave you the 2 weeks forecast for the best sectors, and we presented the tech sector, XLK, as we can find it here, and XLY, that you can find it next to it, with the strongest signal and the best predictability. And those actually performed pretty good. The tech moved up by 16%, while the XLY, the consumer, went up by 11%. The energy that was painted red didn't move that much, while the XLV, that was also on a quite of a zero signal, was negative and went down by almost 4%. That's what happened in the last forecast. After the webinar, we sent you the forecast of the Magnificent Seven in the WhatsApp group, by the way, and showed you that NVDA is going to be one of the leading stocks from the Magnificent Seven. And we're going to do the same thing today. After the webinar, we're going to post the forecast for the next 2 weeks for the Magnificent Seven. So join our WhatsApp community, and it's free and it's really, really helpful. And all right, let's see what the algorithm thinks about the next month. If we are looking at the next month's forecast for the GEEX level 1, the main sectors in the US, we can find the technology sector is still there in the top of the table. We can find the XLY, the consumer, and XLI, the industrial sector, is leading the forecast. In the bottom of it, we can find the XLV, which is the healthcare, and XLF, which is the finance, which is quite interesting. We can also see the real estate also painted red. So the algorithm thinks the technology sector and the consumer is going to be the leading sectors, while the financial sector and the healthcare doesn't look good that much for the following month. And if we are looking at the sector and industries for the next month, we are seeing some interesting picture. XSD, we are seeing it in stocks. The semiconductors universe is in the top of this table. We can also find the XLK, which is the technology stocks, in the top of the forecast. And we can find XAR, sorry, and ITA which both represent aerospace and defense. We can steal a lot of money going through this sector, the defensive sector in the US. We can see the retail, the buzz that I've talked about, and the XLY. Those are the leading sectors and indices for the next month. By the way, the German DAX and the European market also looks quite good. S&P is quite positive for the next month. In the bottom of this forecast, we can find again the healthcare. We can find the pharmaceutical universe is red, the financial sector, also quite red, the biotech, the insurance company, and the real estate also located on the bottom of this specific forecast. I might say the shorter time frame looks a little bit more reddish in the 3 days time frame. We are seeing some volatility coming ahead, but if we are looking at the 1 month forecast, it looks pretty green for now. And of course, we can find the S&P and the Nasdaq as well here in the green side of the table. So we might expect a little bit volatility in the next month, but we can still see the main indices and the main sectors are positive and in the green side of the map.
By the way, now you can understand our choices, why we have picked semiconductors, technology, and also the best package that you picked, right, Ben?
Yeah. We saw the forecast and we saw the sectors, and also this one. It's actually XLK. It's tech companies, XLY. The majority of the Buzz universe, it belongs to XLY. So this is why we chose those companies. And again, our 3 webinar sales that are actually available for the next 24 hours. I'll repeat them shortly, and then we'll answer your questions. The first one is 1+1 in $299 per month. You can choose and combine any 2 packages that you want. No commitment. You can cancel it anytime, and you can find this webinar sale in the link in the chat that Yaron just uploaded. The second webinar sale is the 12-month subscription, in which you can choose any package that you want and combine it with institutional portfolio, which looks amazing, and choose the best stocks for you guys in $299 per month. This is our second webinar sale, and I think is one of the leading and the best sales that we have on I know first since I worked here. The next sale is the 12-month subscription deal, in which you can choose one package for 12 months, paying $219 per month. You can choose between the top 10, the best ETF forecast, and the S&P 500 forecast, and that's available for $290 per month. All right, Yaron.
Yeah, let's answer several. There are a lot of questions. Very good feedback so far, Ben. Let's go over some questions. Does your models for stock only consider stocks when developing prediction, or does it include possible influence of the bond market? Very good question, actually. Actually, when the algorithm is generating the prediction, is taking into account data that coming from the entire financial market, not just for the equity market, but also from additional markets, such as the bond market, the currency market, the commodities market, the equities market as well, over 50 global equities market. We are taking into account all the information that is out there from the entire financial market, not just from the equities market. We are also taking into account what's happening in the interest rate market and how the changes are affecting the different asset classes. So when we're generating the daily forecast, we're taking into account data that is coming from the entire financial market. We are treating the market or the financial market as an holistic system Therefore, we're taking into account data that coming from additional asset classes, basically. Ben, can you explain what is alpha?
Yeah, the performance that you actually outperform the S&P, the return you made above or more than the S&P, that's the alpha. And you can see that in our portfolio, in the institutional portfolio, our alpha was more than 7%, 7.5% from the 2nd of April. And I see another question about the option package. Yeah, we have option package, which I think is really interesting in this time. We have a really nice things that the algorithm finds there. But again, it's find you stocks that that you have options volume trade on, not the option itself. I mean, the algorithm doesn't tell you which call or which put to buy. It just give you the stocks that have a high volume of trading options on those stocks. But I think it's one of our most interesting package. The implied volatility options and the option package are really, really interesting. We saw the quantum universe was appearing there at the beginning of the week, and I think it's really, really interesting. Can you show us performance from the Canadian stocks under 10? Again, we have a lot of packages, as you saw. You can find in the website, by the way, all the packages and past performance of those packages. So feel free to go to the iknowfirst.com and check all the packages that you are interested in.
Okay. Okay, I see also several questions about options. So I paste in the Q&A. Actually, I'm going to paste to everyone the option because I see several questions about the option package. I'm going to paste the link to the option package to the webinar chat. Of course, you can choose the options package in the 1+1 and to combine it with the institutional or the second 1+1 deal. There is a question, the 7 days package or the 7 days forecast, does it refer to 7 trading days or calendar days? You can use it for calendar days generally, or more specifically as indication for the short term. And the long-term predictions for 1 month, 3 months, you can use it as also a calendar days, basically. Okay. I think, do you see additional interesting questions that you would like to address?
We answered the majority. They're asking a little bit about the institutional package. Again, institutional package is now available for private clients. It wasn't available for private clients until the 2nd of April. And we decided to use the model that we use for the institutional clients to this specific package, and they're giving you the best asset out of all of our packages. This is really unique. I'm telling you, you're getting the best assets that you have to buy for the next 4 weeks, and that's it. Meanwhile, in the 2 months it actually exists, this package made almost 9%, almost 10%. I think it's pretty amazing for this specific time that we live in, because making return in those days are pretty rough. We have a lot of volatility in the market, and if the algorithm can find and locate the best assets for you guys, this solution is ideal. You can check the returns. We also uploaded the portfolios in the website. You can check them as well. I think it's a really interesting a combination of assets. For example, in May, we can find XAR, the aerospace and defense, with the Indian market, with the XLU, and the stocks such as Coop, Mr. Cooper Group. I don't know if many of you know this stock, but we are finding the best stock out of the option package, out of the top 10 package, out of the AI package. We are choosing best in the best signals and best predictability in this specific package. So I think it's again a really a good opportunity for you to join in, and you can join until the 20th of May. I mean, this is the rebalancing date. After that, it's up to you. I mean, you're not entering at the beginning of the strategy, so if I think it's important to join up until the 28th. So again, this sale is available for the next 24 hours. So feel free to join us to the institutional portfolio package. I assure you, you won't regret it. We are using our best models for this specific portfolio combination.
Right. Yes, very interesting. Let's see if there are additional questions. Okay, I see additional questions. Yeah, it's important whether it's equal weighted or there are some different weights in the portfolio. AI institutional portfolio. So the portfolio is equally weighted, the portfolio that you see here. So basically, you need to use it for based on closing price, and it's equally weighted portfolio.
And again, I see another question here. If we offer this the deal for $290 per month is available for the top 10, for the ETF, and for the S&P 500 stocks only. Choose out of those three packages, and you can switch between them once a month.
Okay.
A lot of people want the option package, and maybe we can edit it for this deal. I don't know. Ask Yaron. You might approve it. Send us an email, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, sounds good. Any additional interesting question that you see here?
Yeah, I think we actually got it all.
Yes.
And guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to approach us in our mails in the website. You can file a chat and an email that you can ask questions, and we'll be happy to answer it. And thank you very much for joining us for our monthly webinar. And I hope we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much, Ben. Very interesting webinar.
Thank you, Yaron. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye, guys.